Hello guys, this is my Commander deck tech for Azami, Lady of Scrolls. This is a competitive mono blue deck, but it can be really fun if you enjoy Wizard Tribal. So anyways, let's get into it. She is 5 mana, 3 blue, 2 of any. She's a 0/2, but that doesn't matter. Basically, she has tap and untap wizard you control to draw a card. This ability is so good, and pretty much it can make any one of your wizards valuable, no matter what it is. You tap any of them to draw a card. So we'll get into those later. So for the land base, it's pretty simple. This is a monocolored deck, so we don't have to worry about too much of the mana fixing. All we need to do is just have snow-covered islands, because we do play a card in here called Extraplanar Lens. So I just have 22 snow-covered islands. Next we have Riptide Laboratory. This card is really good because it has pay 2 mana, tap it to return target wizard you control to its owner's hand. It is part of an infinite combo in this deck, which I will get to later. But it's also just good utility. If someone decides they want to remove Azami, you can just bounce it back to your hand and then easily replay her for 5 mana. Minamo School at Water's Edge. It's a very good card for utility purposes. You can untap a legendary permanent, get an extra card draw, do whatever you want. Can't go wrong. Cavern of Souls. Really good because all of our creatures are wizards, and in the competitive matchups with other control decks, we don't want them to get countered. Nykthos Shrine to Nyx. Again, Azami is 3 blue in her mana cost, and it doesn't take that much more effort to get out other blue spells with more blue devotion, so you can add up a whole bunch of blue mana over time with Nykthos. It can definitely help you win the game quicker too. Mutavault might seem like a strange addition to this deck, but for 1 mana you can pay 1. Becomes a 2/2 creature with all creature types, which is important. So essentially you can just pay 1 mana and draw a card. Reliquary Tower, obvious reasons. We don't want to have to discard anything. Seat of the Synod. We do play, Trinket Mage, so it does have a purpose for being in here. Again, we get land screwed sometimes, so we just want to have that in here. Teleria West to get our Mana Crypt, Lotus Petal, anything, 0 CMC, maybe even another land, who knows. Halimar Depths, basically a one-time Sensei's Divining Top. Can't really go wrong there. Strip Mine for utility purposes, other people's caverns. I mean, we play a bunch of counter spells in here, so we don't want to have to worry about really good lands. Then for the rest, I'd play Scalding Tarn, Misty Rainforest, and Polluted Delta, because we want to thin our deck. We draw a ton of cards to where it actually matters, where in Commander we can thin our deck to the point where we can get to our combos a lot quicker. Now we are going on to the artifacts, and more specifically the ramp artifacts, the ones that are going to get us to our combo pieces a lot quicker and win the game a lot earlier. And Lotus Petal for 0 mana, sacrifice it, add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool. Can't go wrong there. Mana Crypt, basically you know what that is. Same thing with Soul Ring. Mana Vault, Sapphire Medallion, make our blue spells cheaper to cast, win the game quicker. Sky Diamond, actually really important because we have some abilities in here that can untap our non-land permanents, and if we can do that over and over again, it does help to have blue mana. And untapping artifacts, can't go wrong with Gold Steel Heart. Same thing, it produces blue mana, which is the main reason why it's in here. Grim Monolith, again, you can untap a lot of artifacts in here, so it helps if you have more mana. Thought Vessel, same purpose as Reliquary Tower. Extraplanar Lens, the whole reason why I had the 22 snow-covered islands in the first place. We want to get all the mana doubling that we can get without giving any of it up to our opponents. Thran Dynamo, basically Grim Monolith for 4 mana that can untap. Gilded Lotus, arguably one of the best cards in the deck, because again we have abilities that can untap our non-land permanents. That is very useful. especially when we want to go off. This is part of infinite combos too. Gauntlet of Power, more mana doubling, and basically it's restricted to basic lands, which really helps. It gets our creatures of the chosen color get +1/+1, but it definitely helps monocolored decks, which is mainly going to be you. Most other decks that play blue are most likely going to be multicolored, so you're not going to run into many basic islands. Now, I don't play Cage Sun because, again, it's too expensive. It's not as easy to get out, so it doesn't have that benefit. Sensei's Divining Top, obviously for card fixing, draw fixing, whatever you want to call it, but it's just good to have in here. Isochron Scepter. Mainly, the main card we're going to use with it is Dramatic Reversal, and it does go infinite with Dramatic Reversal. If you have Gilded Lotus or any other artifact that taps for multiple mana, more than 2 specifically, so if you have like Grim Monolith or Thrandanimo or Mana Vault, it works perfectly with those, and you can get infinite mana off of those. Phyrexian Metamorph, good to just straight up copy a creature that we have. We're more interested in copying wizards than we are opponents' creatures, but you never know. Mainly good for copying our own artifacts or our opponents' mana generating artifacts. That's always good. Then my favorite card in the whole deck, Paradox Engine. It just works wonders. So many good combos. It's so much fun to play with. That's why we play a bunch of mana ramp artifacts in here. Can untap all of them. It works well with our wizards. Tap all our wizards to draw cards, and tap all of our mana rocks to get a bunch of mana. So it has that benefit. Now moving on to wizards, more specifically lower cost CMC to high CMC. We have Sage of Ipiter, which comes into play. We look at the top 4 cards of our library and put them in whatever order we want to. Really good value for 1 mana wizard, plus you can just play it for 1 mana, tap it to draw cards, trigger abilities, stuff like that. Really easy. Same thing with Martyr of Frost. It's a 1 mana wizard, but ton of utility. We can pay 2 and reveal X blue cards from our hand to sacrifice them and then counter target spell unless its controller pays X. Really good counter spell on a creature too. We can tap it to draw in response. Aphedo Alchemist is really good here because we do play a bunch of artifacts, as well as we have Arcanist the Omnipotent, which can tap to draw 3 cards. So we have ways to abuse this ability and get a ton of advantage off of him. Stonybrook Banneret's in here just to make our wizard spells cost 1 less to play. Can't go wrong there. Baral, Chief of Compliance. Really, really important to have cheaper counter spells, cheaper anything, to be honest. But the fact that also whenever we counter a spell, we get to draw a card and then discard it really helps speed the deck up a bit. Plus, he's only 2 mana. Lighthouse Chronologist, for the slight chance that we do get it off, it is fun to take extra turns. Just annoy our opponents, and he's only 2 mana. So you're not investing a whole lot into him, and you still get to tap him to draw cards. Snapcaster Mage is Snapcaster Mage, not really too much there. He's a wizard, really good. Jace Vryn's Prodigy, kind of iffy about him. He does, I mean, it is good that you can get him out early and he can tap to draw you cards as soon as he gets out without really needing Azami, but you know. Phantasmal Image, the only other clone in here other than Phyrexian Metamorph. 2 mana, it goes infinite with Palinchron, not really too much there. Laboratory Maniac, pretty much know why. Patron Wizard is probably my favorite wizard in the whole deck. Get him out. It's going to be a nightmare for your opponents to get anything off. They're always going to be wondering, is he going to tap these wizards? Is he going to stop my shit? I don't know. It's really cool. Airtie is really similar. The only difference is you do need 4 mana up and you do have to tap him. But he is really cool. Love him. Sigil Tracer is actually another combo piece, because all we need is Dramatic Reversal, 2 other wizards, and I believe a Gilded Lotus, something like that. We can generate infinite mana and just tap and untap our wizards. Oh yeah, Azami, of course you need Azami out there too. But yeah, it is part of an infinite combo because you pay 2, you tap 2 untapped wizards you control, copy target an instant or sorcery spell, and you get to choose new targets for the copy, which is just ridiculous, and that's why it combos with Dramatic Reversal. Trinket Mage to get pretty much Mana Crypt, Seed of the Synod, really anything else we need. Graceful Adept, Reliquary Tower on a creature, more specifically a wizard. Archaeomancer, and this is one of the infinite combos with Riptide Laboratory. We can bounce Archaeomancer back to our hand, replay it, and get back Time Warp from our graveyard, which I'll get into later. Glenalendra, because she's a counter spell on a creature that counters a target non-creature spell. Really tough to deal with it. Venser, pretty much another counter spell, but doesn't technically counter, just returns target spell or permanent to its owner's hand. Really good value for flash. Magus of the Future definitely speeds up the deck, and one of the more underrated creatures in this deck. People don't really know what to expect. Whenever I play him, they just kind of feel like, oh wow, he's just accelerating so quickly now. Get to play the top card. Basically Future Sight on a creature. Teferi, Mage of Zhalfir, and let me zoom in here. Flash, basically creatures you control that aren't in play have flash. That's not really that big of a deal. Each opponent can only play spells anytime they can play a sorcery. That's definitely what we want in here. Really shuts down your opponents in the control matchup. Just wonderful card. Arcanus the Omnipotent. Get to tap him to draw 3 cards. Unfortunately, it is, Summoning Sickness does affect this ability, so you can still tap him as soon as you get into play off of Azami's ability. But other than that, he does have activated ability of 4, return him to your hand. Then we have Palinchron, which also has that ability, but whenever he comes into play, you get to untap up to 7 lands. Part of multiple combos in EDH, but specifically, this is just for infinite mana, and pretty much the win. Now we go on to counter spells and instants overall, but first we're starting off with the counters. Pact of Negation, 0 mana, protects your combos, don't really have to invest much mana into it, usually if it's the turn you're winning. Can't go wrong. Arcane Denial, one of the more underrated counter spells in the game, I feel. A lot of people don't play it because they feel like they're giving too much advantage to their opponents. I play it because you don't have to put that much blue mana into it. You only put 1 blue mana into it, and you get to draw a card as well. Usually if it's the turn you're going off, it doesn't matter anyway. Can't go wrong with Counterspell. Ice Age, if you were wondering. Mana Drain, again, this really helps if your opponents are trying to go off. You counter one of their spells, they're tapped out, you get a bunch of mana your next turn, and that's usually the turn you want to win. So, can't go wrong with Mana Drain. Not a lot of people can afford it, but if you can, definitely goes in any blue deck. Forbid, also really good to shut down games. You're going to draw a ton of cards, so paying the buyback cost isn't a problem, and it's just a reusable counterspell. Awesome. Rewind can actually help you if you have mana doublers to generate more mana, and it's actually useful if you counter your own thing one time. You can get untap up to 4 lands and pretty much go off at that point. Love that card. Cryptic Command, a lot of versatility, value, you get to counter spell, return target permanent to its owner's hand, or tap all creatures your opponents control, or you get to draw a card. So, can't go wrong there either. And of course, Force of Will. I know CMC wise it is pretty much 0. Mine as well be 0, but he is 5, so why not? Then we go on to other instants. Mystical Tutor, pretty much for dramatic reversal, or a counter spell if we absolutely need one, or Cyclonic Rift if we need it. Brainstorm, love the artwork, but it is like the best cantrip in the game, to be honest. High Tide, love this artwork, fucking love it, but we absolutely need double mana, and the more mana you have, quicker the better. Cyclonic Rift, the best removal spell in the colors by far. Every blue deck should be playing it. Dramatic Reversal, I've said this card like a whole bunch of times this video. Long-term plans, not hard to get to whatever card we put third from the top. We are playing a deck where we can draw cards incredibly easy. So basically Demonic Tutor for 3 and a blue, or 2 and a blue. But it might as well be Demonic Tutor in this deck. Frantic Search, awesome cantrip, love it, untaps 3 of our lands. Same thing, we play a lot of mana doublers in this deck. Get to draw 2 cards and you get to untap 3 lands. Awesome, I love it. Capsize, if we happen to get infinite mana, it basically bounces all permanents our opponents control to their hands. Hilarious if you get to do that, pull that off. Turnabout, untaps all of our artifacts, creatures, or lands target player controls. Mainly going to be using this on creatures, or unless we absolutely need colored mana in our lands, we'll untap our lands. But it's mainly used for creatures or wizards or our lands. Preordain, another cantrip. Ponder, another cantrip. Merchant Scroll, pretty much used to search up Dramatic Reversal. Other stuff I stated before in the instance, as far as instants go. Fabricate. I absolutely love searching up Paradox Engine with this, but there are times where we're going to need something other than that, like Mana Crypt or Gilded Lotus. Definitely search those up. Maybe even Phyrexian Metamorph, who knows. Time Warp, never hurts to take an extra turn, especially if you can recur it with either Archaeomancer or Snapcaster. You should be able to win if you play it. Rhystic Study, good value, probably the best enchantment in blue, if I had to say. Just universal playability in every single deck. Awesome, can't go wrong with it. Intruder Alarm, hilarious with Paradox Engine. You get to stack the triggers and you get to get double the card draw each time a creature enters the battlefield. So can't go wrong with that. Guess the last card of my deck, Mind Over Matter. Pretty much you play this card and you win. The only thing being is you have to make sure that they don't have any mana untapped, because there is a card that can't stop it, and it is Croson Grip. Split second speed, pretty much anything that can interrupt it with split second speed can stop it, but with other cards you can pretty much just do it right before they get to respond. But anyway, that was my Azami Commander deck. Hope you enjoyed it. I'd like to do more of these Commander deck techs in the future, maybe pretty soon. I might even consider doing Pauper deck techs. But anyway, if you like my content, please subscribe, like this video, share it, do whatever you want to do. Have a good day. I'm signing off.